How you been?
I'm exhausted, man.
Yeah, me too. My neck hurts, my back hurts. That's what happens when you get old.
Everything hurts.
My head hurts from the media. So I'll let you go ahead and get this little shindig started.
All right. So this actually started because I was watching YouTube,
Shocker.
as people do. And I came across this video, which it's actually a really cool channel. Cinema Therapy is what it's called. So it's a filmmaker and a therapist, and they sit down and they break down scenes from movies, and they have various topics. Like they have a really funny one on Twilight about abusive relationships, which I mean that's pretty obvious. They did another really good one on gaslighting and Tangled, which I was like, huh. Hadn't really thought about it. Like it makes sense, but anyway. So the first one of theirs I ever watched, they were talking about implicit bias and the movie Zootopia.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've actually you've told me to watch it. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Zootopia is amazing. But I didn't have a problem with their premise, but very quickly, like their opening statement. First of all, it's two white guys, and they acknowledge this. They say we're going to talk about implicit bias, but we're picking Zootopia because we're two white guys. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing, and I appreciate it because it's kind of difficult for two white men to talk about implicit bias. It's very difficult. So they say we selected Zootopia because it's so outside of the norm of reality that we can explore these concepts without unintentionally, offending anyone or leaving anything out. So I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing. But then they proceed to contradict themselves, not intentionally, but it made me think. So I get what they're trying to do, but Disney, in the course of their own movie, hold on,
Shut down.
always does that. So, and I've seen Zootopia a couple times, and I love the movie. I think it's a great movie, especially it makes you think. In fact, one of my favorite movie quotes is from that movie. For anybody who's seen it, after they do the press conference, Judy does the press conference and just fucks up royally. She's trying to explain herself, and then Nick's line is, "Oh, there's a them now," and I'm just like, "Oh, Disney, you did it again!" Like perfect. And Jason Bateman's delivery, as in the whole movie, is flawless. But anyway,
He's a funny guy.
oh, I love Jason Bateman. I just love his deadpan. I'm a big fan of deadpan delivery anyway, and he's just totally perfect. Oh, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, yeah, totally, yeah. Speaking of which, I know I'm getting off topic, but did you watch Ozark? Speaking of Jason Bateman.
No, my wife watches it and
Oh,
she loves it.
So good.
That's what I've heard.
I loved Breaking Bad, and I've told almost everybody I know, if you liked Breaking Bad, you'll like Ozark.
Well,
It's similar, but Jason Bateman is.
Oh yeah, because he's a
good.
drug dealer in it. Well,
he's
something.
he's an accountant,
Yes. Okay.
but he's a money launderer.
Sasha's. My wife's told me something about that, so she liked it.
It's really good, especially the first season. Like it's good, but the first season's the best one, at least in my opinion. But okay, so anyway, where's I going with this? Okay. So, but it made me think, and I guess that's the point of this video, and I'm not knocking these guys because their channel's really good, and it's very entertaining too.
What's the channel's name again?
Cinema Therapy.
Okay.
But it made me understand that...
On YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Disney, I saw what Disney was trying to do, and they're trying to point out things like, not even just racism, but things like bias and prejudice and... letting the past define the present. But then I realized something. Disney contradicts themselves in this movie, and they do it... I'm not going to say it was nefarious, but they do it... In a way, they do it for the sake of some jokes in the movie, but by doing so, it kind of undermines their premise if you think about it for more than, like, a minute. Well, because most people see it's like, oh yeah, why can't we all just get along? It's like, well, it's not even in the absurd realm of Zootopia, it's not that simple. And the guys on YouTube actually pointed out one thing that I hadn't noticed, but now that they pointed it out, I really like and appreciate it. You'll notice a lot of times when you have movies that are anthropomorphized animals, they're all roughly the same size. Disney's Robin Hood, for example, the elephants are about the same size as Robin, who is a fox. Whereas in Zootopia, they keep the scale, for the most part,
Correct.
accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not that easy for animators to, go back and forth.
Right,
You know,
but they do a
this
pretty
has
good
to
job. They do a pretty good job, even with some of the props. Like the first time we meet Nick, he's getting an ice cream thing at the elephant ice cream store so he can break it down and sell it individually. But it's a giant thing.
Right.
So the scale is right. And they point this out, and I'm like, okay, but there's an inherent problem right there. So let's assume we have a society where there are different sizes, like all sorts of different sizes. Well, how do you prevent bias in a society like that? And this is one of the scenes that Disney inadvertently contradicts themselves. So Zootopia, the fictional city of Zootopia, is supposed to be this place where all animals can live and interact together and be equal, roughly. Except there's Tiny Town. There's a chase scene through that miniaturized town where all the voles live. You can't get housing there. Like if you're bigger than your average rodent. And I know this is absurd, guys. Like I know it's an absurd thing to point out.
It'll all come around.
Well, no, I'm pointing out Disney makes the initial premise in this movie that it's possible. Not only possible, it's the ideal, and then it's all in the name. It's Zootopia. They mean utopia with animals, so Zootopia. It's a decent play on words, but it's if you watch Zootopia in and of itself, it shows you how no society is ever going to be perfect. We can strive for it, but you're never going to get rid of any sort of implicit bias, because what happens in Zootopia, the first time predator animals act violently, I mean, the civility all goes out the window. The media gets a hold of it. And I know they're poking fun at the mass media, which I appreciated. Because even in the press conference, they're like, so predators are going savage? So are you afraid of that predator? No, he's my friend. Oh, so we can't even, we should be afraid of our friends now.